The sky above Earth was burning. Captain Sung watched from the bridge of his ship, the Indomitable, as enemy fire tore through the orbital defense stations. Each explosion was a flash of light, then nothing, just empty space where his friends had been seconds before. "Captain, we've lost contact with Defense Grid 7, his second officer Min reported. His voice was steady, but his hands shook. Sung gripped the command chair. 3 hours ago, the Empire had arrived. Their ships were massive, dark things that blocked out the stars. They had sent one message: surrender or die. Earth's government had refused. Now Earth was paying the price. All ships focus fire on the lead dreadnought, Sung ordered. It was useless. He knew it was useless. Their weapons bounced off the shields like raindrops, but they had to try. The Indomitable shook as enemy fire struck their hull. Alarms screamed. Smoke filled the bridge. "Hull breach on Deck 4's voice came through the speakers. She was the chief engineer down in the belly of the ship trying to keep them alive. "I'm sealing it now." Sung looked at the tactical display. Of the 200 ships that had defended Earth, only 15 remained. The rest were debris floating in the darkness. On the planet below, cities were burning. He could see the fires from orbit. "Sir, incoming transmission from Fleet Command," Min said. Admiral Sora's face appeared on the screen. She looked old, tired. "All remaining ships, this is the evacuation order. Jump coordinates are being sent now. We're abandoning the Sol system." The words hit Sung like a punch. "We're leaving. What about the people on Earth?" "There's nothing we can do for them now," Sora said. Her voice cracked. "Save who you can, that's an order." The transmission ended. Around him, his crew stood frozen. 14 billion people lived on Earth. They were being left behind. "Sir, jump coordinates received," Min said quietly. "We can evacuate 5,000 people if we pack them into cargo holds." 5,000 out of billions. Sung felt sick. "Begin evacuation procedures," he said. "Get as many people as you can from the nearest city." The Indomitable turned toward Earth. Through the viewport, Sung could see his home planet, blue and green and beautiful, even with the fires. He had been born in Seoul. His parents still lived there. He would never see them again. The ship descended through the atmosphere. They were heading for Singapore, one of the evacuation points. But as they approached, Sung saw something on his screen. A signal coming from Geneva. "What's that?" he asked. Min checked his console. "It's the United Nations building. The signal is automated. It's been broadcasting the same message since the invasion started." Sung pulled up the message. It was simple: "The flag still flies." He brought up visual feed from Geneva. The city was in ruins. Bombers had destroyed most of it. But there, on top of the collapsed UN building, a flagpole still stood. The Earth flag waved in the smoke-filled wind, blue and green with a white globe at its center, the symbol of all humanity united. As Sung watched, a bomber made another pass. Particle beams struck the building. The structure collapsed in a cloud of dust and fire. The flag disappeared. Something broke inside him. "Change course," Sung said. "We're going to Geneva." "Sir," Min looked confused. "The evacuation point is—" "I gave an order." Sung's voice was hard. "Geneva now." The Indomitable changed course. Behind them, other ships continued the evacuation. Sung knew he was disobeying orders. He didn't care. "I need a shuttle prepped," he said into the communication system. "Captain, what are you doing?" asked. "Something stupid," he replied. The ship landed outside Geneva. The city was dead. Bodies lay in the streets. Buildings had been reduced to rubble. Sung took the shuttle down, landing near what was left of the UN building. He stepped out into hell. The air was thick with ash. Fires burned everywhere. The heat was intense. Through his helmet, he could hear the distant sound of ships overhead. Sung ran toward the collapsed building. Steel beams blocked his path. He climbed over them, cutting his hands on sharp metal. He could see the flagpole, bent and broken, buried under tons of concrete. "Captain, you need to leave," his voice came through his helmet radio. "Ships are returning." "Not yet," Sung said. He dug through the rubble with his hands. The flagpole was trapped, but the flag itself had torn free. He found it under a piece of wall. The fabric was burned in places, torn and bloody, but it was still there. Sung grabbed the flag and held it tight. This was all that was left. This piece of cloth was the last thing he could save from Earth. An explosion nearby knocked him off his feet. A bomber was making another pass. The building groaned. What was left of it was coming down. Sung ran. Behind him, the structure collapsed completely. Fire and debris filled the air. He couldn't see. He couldn't breathe. He stumbled and fell. Strong hands grabbed him. Someone was pulling him up, dragging him through the smoke. He looked up and saw in her engineering suit. "I told you it was stupid," she said. They made it to the shuttle. It lifted off just as the bomber came back around. Particle beams tore through the spot where they had been standing seconds before. Back on the Indomitable, Sung lay in the medical bay. His hands were bandaged. His lungs hurt from the smoke, but he still held the flag clutched against his chest. "We're jumping in 5 minutes," Min said, standing beside his bed. "The fleet is assembled." "How many ships?" Sung asked. 47. We managed to evacuate 200,000 people. 200,000 out of 14 billion. Sung closed his eyes. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough. Through the medical bay window, he could see Earth getting smaller. The planet was covered in dark clouds now. They were everywhere. His home was gone. But in his hands he held something real, something that mattered. The flag was just fabric, just colors and thread. But it meant something. It meant that once humanity had stood together, that they had believed in something bigger than themselves. The Indomitable jumped to hyperspace. Earth vanished. Sung stared at the flag in his hands. It was burned and torn and covered in blood, but it had survived. And as long as it survived, maybe humanity could too. 6 months had passed since Earth fell. Sung stood in his quarters aboard the Indomitable, staring at the flag mounted on his wall. Every day he looked at it. Every night he dreamed of the fires. The human fleet had scattered across the outer regions of space. 47 ships had escaped Earth. Now they hid in asteroid fields and abandoned stations, trying to survive. Some ships had already left, hopping to find safety elsewhere. Others had turned to stealing just to get food and fuel. There was a knock on his door. Min entered carrying a data pad. "The Fleet Council is meeting in an hour," Min said. "They want to discuss the situation." "The situation," Sung repeated. The word felt empty. The situation was that humanity was dying, scattered, broken. What's there to discuss? "Some captains want to surrender to the... They think if we stop resisting, they will let the people on Earth live." Sung turned to face his friend. "You believe that?" "No," Min said, "but people are scared. They want hope, something to believe in." Sung looked back at the flag. "Then we'll give them something to believe in." The meeting took place on Haven Station, a neutral trading post in the middle of nowhere. Ship captains from across the scattered fleet had gathered. Sung saw faces he knew, friends he had fought beside. Now they looked tired and defeated. Admiral Sora called the meeting to order. She commanded the Last Hope, the largest carrier that had escaped, but she looked older now, worn down by loss. "Thank you all for coming," Sora said. "We need to make a decision about our future. We can't keep running forever." Captain Wu stood up. He was a tall man with a hard face. "There is no future, the one we lost. The only question is whether we keep getting people killed for no reason." "So we surrender?" another captain asked. "We negotiate," Wu said. "Maybe they'll let us settle on some empty planet somewhere. We can rebuild." "And Earth?" Min asked. "What about the billions still alive there?" "They're slaves now," Wu said harshly. "Nothing we do will change that." Voices rose, captains argued, some agreed with Wu, others wanted to keep fighting. But no one had a plan, no one had answers. Sung had been silent until now. He stood up and the room quieted. "I want to show you something," he said. He walked to the front of the room and unfurled the Earth flag. It looked worse now than when he had saved it. The burn marks were darker, the tears had grown, but the colors were still there, blue and green and white. "This flag flew over Geneva for 143 years, Sung said. It survived wars. It survived disasters. It survived every time humanity wanted to give up and split apart. On the day Earth fell, they burned the city where it flew, but they couldn't burn what it means." "It's just a piece of cloth," Wu said. "Yes," Sung agreed. "It is, but we're still here, 200,000 of us, and if they think we'll just roll over and die, they're wrong." "What are you proposing?" Sora asked. Sung had thought about this for months. "I propose we stop running, we start fighting, we hit them where it hurts, show them that humanity isn't finished." "With what ships, what weapons?" Wu shook his head. "We can't win." "Maybe not," Sung said, "but we can make them bleed. And maybe, just maybe, we can save some of our people." A new voice spoke up. A man Sung didn't recognize stepped forward. He was younger with sharp eyes. "My name is Wu Jin," the man said. "I used to run supplies through space. Black market stuff. I still have contacts out there. I hear things." "What kind of things?" Sora asked. "They are using human prisoners as slaves," Wu Jin said. "Mining colonies mostly, Europa out by Jupiter. 50,000 people working the ice mines there, and there's more. Earth still has resistance fighters. Not many, but they're there, fighting a guerrilla war." The room erupted again. People on Earth were still fighting, still resisting. "If we could hit Europa," Sung said, "free those prisoners, it would show everyone that we're not dead, that we can still fight back." "It's suicide," Wu said. "Europa is deep in territory, we'd never make it." "Then I'll go alone if I have to," Sung said. He looked around the room at all the tired, scared faces. These people needed something to believe in, something to fight for. "I've been carrying this flag for 6 months," he continued. "Every day I wake up and wonder if it was worth it, if saving a piece of cloth mattered when billions died. But then I remember what this represents. It's not about pride. It's not about winning. It's about refusing to let them erase us. About standing up and saying we were here, we mattered, and we won't go quietly." The room was silent, then stood up. "The Indomitable will join you," she said. Min stood, "So will I." One by one, other captains stood. Not all of them, not even half, but 12 ships in total. 12 captains willing to risk everything for a chance to save their people. Wu stayed seated. "You're all fools," he said, but his voice was quieter now, less certain. After the meeting, Sung stood outside the station looking at the stars. Found him there. "I've been working on something," she said. She showed him a small device. "It's a transmitter. It can broadcast on all frequencies. I can program it to send the image of our flag. Let everyone know we're still out there." Sung took the device. It was small, simple, but powerful. "Do it," he said. "Broadcast it everywhere, let them see." That night, Haven Station transmitted the image of Earth's flag across every channel. It was just a picture, just data. But it traveled through space at the speed of light, reaching distant systems, passing by ships, touching every corner of the galaxy. On Earth, in the ruins of London, a resistance fighter saw the broadcast on a stolen communicator. She started crying. She had thought they were alone, that everyone who could leave had abandoned them. On Europa, in the dark ice mines, a prisoner named saw the flag on a broken screen. She gathered the other prisoners and showed them. For the first time in months, people smiled. Hope had found them in the darkness. And in the command center of a warship, a commander saw the broadcast and felt something he hadn't felt in centuries. Concern. These humans were supposed to be broken, scattered, defeated. But the flag still flew. Sung's fleet of 12 ships departed Haven Station. They were battered, undermanned, running on stolen fuel. But they were going to Europa. They were going to save their people. As the Indomitable jumped to hyperspace, Sung sat in his command chair, the Earth flag mounted behind him where everyone could see it. He didn't know if they would survive. Probably not. But that wasn't the point anymore. The point was to show the galaxy and every human still alive that some things couldn't be destroyed. Not by weapons, not by fear, not by time. Some things endured. The message had been sent, the beacon was lit. Now they just had to keep it burning. Europa looked like a white ball hanging in space, covered in ice. But Sung knew what was beneath that ice. 50,000 human prisoners working in mines, treated like animals by their guards. "We're picking up patrol ships," Min said from the tactical station. 3 destroyers in orbit. Sung studied the displays. His fleet of 12 ships was hidden in Jupiter's radiation belt. They couldn't see them yet, but as soon as they moved, the fight would start. "Wujin, are your codes ready?" Sung asked. Wujin sat at a side console working on his stolen access codes. "They should work, should being the important word. These codes are 3 months old. If they've changed them, we're in trouble." "Everything about this plan is trouble," muttered. She was at the engineering station, trying to squeeze every bit of power from the Indomitable's damaged engines. The plan was risky. A strike team would land on Europa's surface using shuttles with fake identification codes. They would infiltrate the mining camps, find the prisoners, and get them to the extraction point. Meanwhile, the fleet would engage the orbital defenses, drawing attention away from the ground team. "Strike team, you go for launch," Sung said. 5 shuttles dropped from the fleet and headed for Europa's surface. Min led the ground team. With him were the scientist who had tried to warn Earth about the invasion, and Mi-sun, a former Special Forces soldier who had survived Earth's final battle. Sung watched the shuttles descend. His hands gripped the command chair tightly. He was sending his people into danger while he stayed safe on the ship. It felt wrong. "The shuttles are through the orbital defense grid," the tactical officer reported. "The codes worked." Sung let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "All ships, prepare for combat. As soon as the ground team makes contact with the prisoners, we move." On Europa's surface, Min's shuttle landed near one of the mining complexes. The cold hit them immediately, even through their suits. -200 degrees. Without protection, a human would freeze solid in minutes. "I can see the mine entrance," Mi-sun said, pointing to a large door built into the ice. 2 guards outside. They looked like tall, thin insects standing on 2 legs. They carried energy weapons and wore armor that glowed with a faint blue light. "Non-lethal if possible," Min ordered. "We don't want to alert the whole base." Mi-sun moved forward silently. She was good at this. Before the invasion, she had been one of Earth's best soldiers. Now she used those skills to fight for survival. The guards never saw her coming. Quick strikes with a shock weapon, and both guards collapsed. The team dragged their bodies out of sight and moved through the entrance. Inside the mine, it was like stepping into hell. The tunnels were barely lit. Water dripped from ice walls. And everywhere, humans worked with primitive tools, mining rare minerals from Europa's frozen core. The workers looked terrible, thin, dirty. Many had injuries that hadn't been treated. They worked in the freezing cold with barely any protection. Some had frostbite on their exposed skin. A overseer walked past, carrying an energy whip. When one prisoner moved too slowly, the overseer struck him. The man fell but didn't cry out. He just got back up and kept working. Min felt rage build in his chest. This was what the thought of humanity, just tools to be used and discarded. "We need to find whoever is in charge," whispered. "The prisoners must have some kind of leader." They moved deeper into the mine, staying in the shadows. Finally, they found what looked like a gathering area. Prisoners were taking a short break, huddled together for warmth. An older woman was speaking to them quietly. "That's her," one of the rescued prisoners on their team said. She was a teacher before the invasion. She's kept people's spirits up." Min approached carefully. The prisoners saw him and froze. His suit was military grade, marked with Earth insignia. Some of them started crying. Stared at the patch on his shoulder, the Earth flag. "You came," she whispered. "We saw the broadcast, we thought, we hoped, but we didn't believe anyone would really come." "We're getting you out," Min said. "How many are in this facility?" 50 guards, maybe more, said. "But there's a problem. The prisoners are scattered across 6 different mine complexes. We can't evacuate everyone at once." Min spoke into his communicator. "Captain, we have a problem. There are multiple mining sites. We need more time." In orbit, Sung received the message. More time meant more exposure, more risk. But he looked at the flag behind him and made his decision. "You've got 2 hours," he said. "Make it count. All ships engage enemy forces. Let's give them something to think about." The 12 ships of the human fleet broke from Jupiter's radiation belt and attacked. Destroyers turned to face them. Space lit up with weapons fire. The battle was brutal. Human ships were smaller, weaker, but they were desperate. They flew in patterns they didn't expect, using Jupiter's moons for cover, striking and retreating. On Europa, the strike teams moved through the complexes. The fighting was close and vicious. Guards were strong, but the humans were fighting for their families, for their freedom. Mi-sun led one team through the tunnels. They encountered a group of guards and opened fire. The shields held for a moment, then collapsed, but more guards were coming. "Fall back to the extraction point," Min ordered over the radio. The prisoners ran through the ice tunnels. Many were weak from months of forced labor. The stronger ones helped carry those who couldn't walk. Behind them, guards pursued. "We're not going to make it," said. She was helping an injured prisoner, practically dragging him. "There are too many of them." In orbit, the battle was turning bad. They had reinforcements coming. 3 more destroyers had just appeared from hyperspace. "Captain, we need to abort," the tactical officer said. "If we stay, we'll be destroyed." Sung looked at the tactical display. His ships were taking heavy damage. The Indomitable had already lost 2 engine sections. If they stayed much longer, none of them would survive. But on Europa, 12,000 prisoners were running for their lives. If the fleet left now, those people would die. Then Captain Wu's voice came over the communications channel. Wu, who had called them all fools, who had said the mission was suicide. "Indomitable, this is Wu. I'm moving to engage the incoming destroyers." "Negative," Sung said. "Your ship can't handle 3 destroyers alone." "I know," Wu said. His voice was calm, almost peaceful. "But I can slow them down, give your people time to evacuate." "Wu, don't." "I was wrong," Wu interrupted. "At the meeting, about the flag, about fighting, I thought it didn't matter, but watching you people throw yourselves at impossible odds, it made me remember something. We're human, we don't give up, we don't quit, even when we should." Wu's destroyer broke formation and charged at the 3 incoming ships. He fired everything he had. The returned fire, tearing through his shields. "Tell them," Wu said. "Tell everyone I remembered what we were fighting for." His ship rammed into the lead destroyer at full speed. The explosion was visible from Europa's surface, a new sun burning in the sky. The sacrifice bought them time. The ground teams got the prisoners to the shuttles, not all of them, not even half, but 12,000 people who had been slaves were now free. As the last shuttle lifted off, ground forces arrived. They fired at the departing ships, but it was too late. The fleet regrouped and jumped to hyperspace. Behind them, Europa and its remaining prisoners faded into the distance. In the medical bay, found her sister among the rescued. She had thought her dead. They held each other and cried. Sung walked through the crowded cargo holds where the rescued prisoners were being given food and water. They looked at him with gratitude and hope. Some reached out to touch his uniform, to confirm he was real. Found him on the bridge. Thank you, she said simply. We couldn't save everyone, Sung said. You saved who you could, replied. That's all anyone can do, and you showed us something important. You showed us that someone still cares, that we haven't been forgotten. The flag hung behind Sung's command chair. 12,000 people had seen it and knew they weren't alone anymore. The beacon was growing brighter. 4 months after Europa, everything had changed. What had started as 12 desperate ships had grown into something more, something dangerous. Sung stood in the briefing room aboard the Indomitable, looking at a map of controlled space. Red dots marked resistance cells. There were hundreds of them now, on occupied worlds, on stations, even on Earth itself. The supply depot at Rigel was destroyed yesterday, Wu Jin reported. He had become the Resistance's intelligence chief. That's the 5th depot hit this month. They're starting to feel it. Casualties? Sung asked. 3 Resistance fighters, but they took out enough fuel to supply 20 ships. Sung nodded. Every victory had a cost. He had learned that well. The Europa raid had done something unexpected. It had given people hope. The broadcast of the flag, followed by proof that humans could still fight back, had sparked rebellions across a dozen worlds. Slaves rose up. Prisoners escaped. And they who had thought humanity was finished suddenly found themselves bleeding from 1,000 small cuts. But it wasn't enough. The empire was vast. For every depot destroyed, they had 10 more. For every ship lost, they built 2. Humanity was fighting hard, but they were still losing. Admiral Sora entered the briefing room. With her was a strange alien, tall and thin, with silver skin and large eyes. This is Vin Cal, Sora said. His people are part of the Empire, but they opposed the invasion of Earth. Sung studied the alien carefully. Trusting anyone was dangerous. Trusting an alien who served the seemed insane. Why should we believe you? He asked. Vin Cal spoke in a soft, musical voice. Because my people are slaves too. They conquered us 300 years ago. We serve them because we have no choice. But when we saw humanity fight back, we realized something. Resistance is possible. What do you want? To help you win, Vin Cal said. The Empire is held together by a massive relay network. It allows their ships to communicate instantly across the galaxy. Without it, their fleet would be blind, cut off from central command. Sung leaned forward. Where is this network? The central node is on the command nexus, a massive space station in the heart of their territory. Destroy it, and half their fleet becomes useless. It sounded too good to be true. What's the catch? The station is the most heavily defended location in the Empire, Vin Cal admitted. Attacking it directly would be suicide. Wu Jin laughed bitterly. Everything we do is suicide. At least this suicide might actually matter. Sung looked at the map. The command nexus was deep in space. They would have to fight through layers of defenses just to reach it. And even if they did, the station itself was a fortress. But if it worked, if they could destroy that relay, it might give humanity a real chance. I need to think about this, Sung said. That night he couldn't sleep. He stood in his quarters, staring at the flag on his wall. It looked worse now. More tears, more stains. Like him, it was falling apart. There was a knock, entered without waiting for permission. You're thinking about attacking the Nexus, she said. It wasn't a question. Yes. It's suicide. I know. Sat down on his bunk. I've been with you since Geneva. I pulled you out of that burning building. I've followed you into every impossible situation since then. But Sung, even I think this is too much. Then what do we do? He asked. Keep hitting supply depots. Keep saving a few thousand people here and there while billions suffer. This could end the war. Or it could end us, said quietly. The Resistance needs you. If you die on this mission, what happens to them? Sung sat down beside her. I've been carrying this flag for almost a year now. Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing it for the right reasons anymore. Am I fighting for humanity, or am I just angry, just looking for revenge? Does it matter? Asked. You've given people hope, that's worth something. Is it, if I lead them all to death? They sat in silence for a moment, then spoke again. Do you know what the prisoners on Europa said after we rescued them? They said they had forgotten what hope felt like, that seeing the flag reminded them they were human, that they mattered. You did that, not with weapons, not with strategy, with a symbol, with belief. The next day, Sung called a meeting of all resistance leaders. They gathered on Haven Station again, but this time the room was packed. Dozens of ship captains, resistance cell leaders, even representatives from Earth's underground fighters brought out on secret shuttles. Sung stood before them and laid out the plan. The command nexus, he said, we're going to destroy it. The room erupted in arguments. Some called him insane, others demanded to know how they could possibly succeed, but many stayed silent, waiting to hear more. I won't lie to you, Sung continued. This mission will cost us, maybe everything, but if we succeed, we cripple the Empire, we give humanity a chance to survive. An old man stood up. He was one of Earth's resistance leaders, smuggled off the planet just for this meeting. I've been fighting on Earth for a year, he said, watching my people die every day, watching them treat us like animals. If there's even a small chance this works, I say we take it. One by one, others agreed. Not everyone, some left saying the plan was suicide, but most stayed. We'll need every ship, Sora said. Every fighter. This will be humanity's largest military action since Earth fell. Then we'd better make it count, Min said. But then came the bad news, a broadcast from Earth. Forces had executed 10,000 prisoners in response to recent resistance attacks. The images were horrible, bodies in the streets, families torn apart, a message to anyone who thought about resisting. The briefing room fell silent. Some people started crying, others looked angry. A few wanted to call off the attack, afraid of more reprisals. Sung felt sick, more death, more suffering, all because of him, because he had started this fight. He returned to his quarters, the weight crushing him. He sat alone, holding the flag, wondering if any of this was worth it. Found him there. The teacher from Europa had become one of the Resistance's voices. People listened to her. You're thinking about stopping, she said. They killed 10,000 people because of us, Sung said. No, said firmly. They killed 10,000 people because that's what they do. They've been killing us since they arrived. The only difference now is that we're fighting back. Is it worth it, all this death? Sat beside him. On Europa in the mines, do you know what kept us alive? Stories. We told stories about Earth, about what humanity used to be, about freedom. Some people gave up. They lay down in the ice and died, but others kept going because they believed those stories mattered, that we mattered. She pointed at the flag. That's not just cloth, it's a story that says we don't have to accept the universe as it is, that we can fight for something better even if we lose, even if it costs everything. Sung looked at the flag, torn, burned, stained with blood, but still here, still intact enough to recognize, like humanity itself. I need you to do something for me, Sung said. I'm going to lead the infiltration team to the Nexus personally. If I don't come back, someone needs to carry this forward. You'll come back, said. Maybe, but if I don't, promise me you'll keep fighting, keep the flag flying. Promised. The fleet prepared for the largest battle since Earth's fall. 23 ships remained from the original evacuation fleet. Dozens more had been captured or built by resistance fighters. They would attack positions across 15 systems, drawing forces away from the Nexus. Meanwhile, Sung would lead a small team to infiltrate the station itself. With him would be Min, Mi-sun, and Wu Jin. Their mission was to plant charges on the relay node and destroy it. The night before the mission, Sung attached the flag to his armor, not folded away safely, but visible, where everyone could see it. He was no longer just a soldier carrying a symbol. He had become the symbol, the beacon that would light humanity's path back from the edge of extinction. The final battle was coming. The command nexus looked like a dark star hanging in space, massive and black, with lights glowing across its surface like captured constellations. Millions of lived and worked there, and somewhere inside was the relay node that controlled half their empire. Sung watched from the shuttle as they approached. His team sat around him, checking weapons and equipment. The flag was attached to his chest armor, visible to everyone. Approaching the maintenance entrance, Wu Jin said from the pilot's seat. The codes are working so far, they think we're a supply ship. Let's hope it stays that way, Mi-sun muttered. The shuttle docked with the station. They stepped out into a service corridor, trying to look like they belonged. Workers passed by, carrying equipment and supplies. None paid attention to the humans in stolen uniforms. The relay control room is 17 levels up, whispered, checking her stolen data pad. But we have a problem. What? Sung asked. I'm reading something else. Another system. It's labeled as the erasure protocol. What's that? His face went pale as she read. It's a weapon. It doesn't just destroy a planet, it erases it, makes it like it never existed, removes all records, all memory. They're planning to use it on Earth. The team stopped walking. Min looked sick. When? Soon said, maybe days. Sung felt cold. Destroying Earth was one thing, but erasing it, making it so humanity never existed, that was something else entirely. Can we stop it? He asked. The controls are in the main command center, the same place where the high command meets. It's in the station's core. How many guards? Hundreds, maybe thousands. It was impossible. Their mission was already suicide. Adding this made it worse. But if they didn't try, Earth would vanish. Not just destroyed, but forgotten, like humanity had never been. We're going for the command center, Sung said. That's not the plan, Wu Jin protested. We plant charges on the relay, then get out. Plans change, Sung said. We stop the erasure protocol first, then we destroy the relay. They moved through the station, using service corridors and maintenance shafts. Twice, they had to hide from patrols. Once they had to fight, using silenced weapons to take out guards quietly. Alarms started blaring. They found the bodies, Mi-sun said. We're out of time. Run, Sung ordered. They ran through the corridors, fighting guards as they appeared. Energy weapons lit up the hallways. Mi-sun took point, her combat training keeping them alive. But there were too many enemies. I'll hold them here, Mi-sun said, taking cover behind a corner. You keep going. We're not leaving you, Min said. You have to. Someone needs to stop that weapon. Mi-sun looked at Sung. Make it count. She opened fire on the pursuing. The team ran, leaving her behind. Sung heard the sound of fighting fade as they got farther away. They reached a security checkpoint. The doors were locked and reinforcements were coming. I can override it, Wu Jin said, working on the control panel. But it'll take time. We don't have time, said. Wu Jin smiled sadly. I know, that's why you're going through and I'm staying here. Wu Jin, Sung started. I used to steal from people, Wu Jin interrupted. Made a fortune off other people's suffering. Never thought I'd die for something that mattered. Feels good. He opened the door. The team went through. Behind them, Wu Jin sealed the checkpoint and opened fire on the forces. The doors closed, cutting off the sound of battle. 3 of them left, Sung, Min, and they reached the command center's outer door. Inside, the high command was gathered. Tall aliens in elaborate armor, discussing strategy around a holographic display. At the center was the Supreme Coordinator, the leader of the entire empire. "We can't fight through all of them," Min said. "We don't have to," said. She was looking at her data pad. "The erasure protocol is already active. Someone needs to get to the reactor core to shut it down manually. But the radiation, whoever goes and won't come out." Understanding hit Sung. "How long?" "Minutes, maybe less." They burst through the doors, weapons firing. The guards responded immediately. A firefight erupted in the command center. Min took cover, returning fire, but they were outnumbered 10-1. The Supreme Coordinator looked at Sung with its strange, ancient eyes. "You are persistent," it said, its voice like grinding metal. "But pointless. Your species is an anomaly, chaotic, disruptive. You will be erased from history." Sung pulled the flag from his armor and held it high. "This flag survived fire," he said. "It survived war. It survived your invasion. You think you can erase us? Every species you've enslaved will remember we fought. Every person you've killed becomes a martyr. We're not an anomaly. We're a warning." "A warning?" the coordinator asked. "That nothing you build will last if it's built on suffering. That people will always fight back. That freedom matters more than order." Philosophical words from a dying species. Was at a console, working frantically. "I can't stop it remotely. Someone has to go into the reactor core." Min moved toward the reactor entrance. "I'll go." "No," said. She locked the controls. "You're a leader. The resistance will need leaders when this is over. I'm an engineer. Let me fix this." "Don't," Sung started. But she was already running. She reached the reactor core entrance and looked back one last time. "Keep the flag flying," she said. Then she was gone, disappearing into the radiation that would kill her in seconds. Sung felt something break inside him. Another friend, another sacrifice, how many more? He turned back to the coordinator. "She was right. We will keep flying our flag, and people will remember what you tried to do here." He pulled the charges from his pack and set them. The relay node was in the command center, built into the walls. If he detonated here, it would destroy everything. "You'll die too," the coordinator said. "I know." Sung activated the charges. 30 seconds. Min grabbed his arm. "We can make it to the shuttle." "No time, get out. That's an order." "I'm not leaving you," Min said. Sung looked at his friend, his second officer who had followed him through everything, who had believed in him when no one else did. "Someone needs to tell the story," Sung said softly. "Someone needs to make sure they remember, please." Min's eyes filled with tears. He nodded once, then ran. Sung stood alone in the command center as guards closed in. The countdown continued. 20 seconds. He thought about Earth, about Geneva burning, about pulling him from the wreckage, about Wu's sacrifice at Europa, about Mi-sun and Wu Jin giving their lives so he could get here. About billions of people who deserved better than this. 10 seconds. The coordinator tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. 5 seconds. Sung held the flag tight and closed his eyes. The charges detonated. The explosion tore through the command center, destroying the relay node. The blast expanded outward, ripping apart the station's core. Across the galaxy, half the fleet suddenly went dark, cut off from central command. Ships that had operated with perfect coordination began to falter. On Earth, resistance fighters saw forces suddenly confused, directionless. They attacked with new fury. Min made it to the shuttle just as the station began to break apart. He escaped by seconds, watching the Nexus collapse behind him. The human fleet, which had been fighting diversionary battles across multiple systems, received the signal. The relay was destroyed. They had won. At terrible cost, but they had won. 3 years passed. The Empire fell apart without its relay network. Some factions surrendered, others fled. The species they had enslaved rose up, inspired by humanity's resistance. A new alliance formed, not of conquest but of cooperation. Earth was slowly healing. The occupation had ended. Millions had died, but millions more survived. They emerged from hiding, from underground bunkers, from occupied cities, and began to rebuild. In Geneva, on the ruins of the old United Nations building, a new structure was rising, and on the highest point, a flagpole had been erected. Min stood before a crowd of thousands. He looked older now, tired but still standing. Beside him stood, now serving as Earth's Chancellor, Admiral Sora, who had kept the fleet together through impossible odds, whose scientific work was helping rebuild Earth's technology, and thousands of others who had fought and survived. "We gather here to remember," Min said, "to remember those who gave everything so humanity could survive." He unfolded a new flag, not the old one. That flag, torn and burned, sat in a museum now, sacred. But this new flag was identical except for one addition: small stars in the corner, thousands of them, one for every ship lost, every person who died fighting. "Captain Sung held Earth's flag when our world burned," Min continued. "He carried it through the darkest time in our history. He became a beacon when we had no light. And when the time came, he gave his life to save billions he would never meet." The crowd was silent. Many were crying. "But this isn't just about one man," Min said. "It's about all of us. Every person who refused to quit, every act of resistance, every sacrifice. That's what this flag represents. Not one hero, but millions of people choosing to stand up." He raised the flag. The crowd cheered, a sound that echoed across the ruins of Geneva. "They tried to break us," Min said. "They tried to erase us, but we're still here, changed but undefeated." He attached the flag to the pole. As it rose into the sky, catching the wind, people watched in silence. Some saluted. Others just stared, remembering what they had lost and what they had kept. From across the galaxy, broadcasts showed the ceremony. Humans on distant worlds watched. Alien species, freed from their own oppression, watched. They saw the flag rising and understood what it meant. That night, as Geneva celebrated its liberation, Min stood alone at the flagpole. He looked up at the flag waving against the stars. "We did it," he whispered. "We kept it flying." In the distance, he could hear people singing. Children who had been born during the occupation, never seeing Earth free, now playing in streets that were theirs again. The beacon that Sung had lit hadn't died with him. It had spread. From ship to ship, world to world, person to person, until the entire galaxy blazed with resistance. And at the center of it all, on a healing Earth, the flag still flew. Not as a symbol of one nation or one world, but as a reminder, a warning, a promise. That humanity would never stop fighting for freedom, that they would never accept oppression as normal, that they would always stand up, even against impossible odds. The flag flew because Sung had held it when everything burned, because had given her life to save Earth, because millions of people had chosen to resist rather than submit. It flew because some things can't be destroyed, not by weapons, not by fear, not by time. Some things endure. The flag still flies.